Pelvic floor strengthening can only begin once you've learned how to relax your pelvic floor muscles. Pelvic strengthening basically is a matter of contracting and relaxing your pelvic floor muscles in order to build up that particular muscle's strength. Remember, it's okay to tighten your muscles, but it's never okay to keep them in a clenched position. When you're doing strengthening exercises, the importance for you is not only the tightening of the muscles, but absolutely the let go afterwards. We're going to keep this in mind as we are working on the strengthening exercises in this next section. When you're working on strengthening exercises, it is really important to cue into the breath pattern to make sure that you are utilizing the natural rhythms of both the pelvic and respiratory diaphragms. It is important to note that when the pelvic floor is active, your belly muscles are active and vice versa, and we can cue into that utilizing the breath pattern. So when you take a breath in and the belly expands, the pelvic floor drops. And then as you exhale, what you're going to do with strengthening is you're going to pull in your pelvic floor and pull in your abdomen at the same time, known as the pelvic brace. These two muscles, your pelvic floor and your deep abdominals, known as the transverse abdominis, are synergistic muscles. They work together. Let's give this a try. Go ahead and take a nice breath in to prepare, letting your belly expand, pelvic floor drop. Now go ahead and exhale, and as you're exhaling, draw your belly button towards your spine and do a Kegel, drawing the pelvic floor muscles up and in. Take another breath in, letting your belly muscles go, letting your pelvic floor go. Go ahead and exhale, drawing your belly button in and pulling up your pelvic floor, known as the pelvic brace. Some people may not know how to pull in their abdomen in the correct way. There are many ways that people do this incorrectly. So I want to go through proper ways of activating your abdominal muscles. What I'm going to have you do is place one hand on your lower belly, just below your belly button, and one hand on your upper belly, just above your belly button. Some mistakes that people make is they really want to pull in their upper abdomen. So when you're taking your breath in and then exhaling, you want to make sure that you're feeling your lower belly pull away from your lower hand. Let's go ahead and give that a try right now. Go ahead and take a breath in, letting your belly expand. And then as you breathe out, go ahead and draw in your lower belly, pulling your lower belly away from your lower hand. Another way that individuals may incorrectly tighten their deep abdominal muscles is by flattening their back. So we're just going to demonstrate that as something that you are not to do when we're practicing this the correct way. So what I'm going to have you do is go ahead and take another breath in and then breathe out, and then go ahead and flatten your back. So sometimes people may do that, which is incorrect, and go ahead and relax back down. Your spine should remain in a nice neutral position. There should be no movement of your pelvis when you are activating the deep transverse abdominis in the correct way. There are many different cues and imagery that we can use in order for you to identify your deep abdominal muscles. We're going to go through 2 more breath patterns, and I'll give you some other cues so that you can identify this muscle correctly. Go ahead and take another breath in, letting your belly expand. And then go ahead and exhale, imagining tightening a seatbelt low and across your waist so that you're activating your deep lower belly. Go ahead and take another breath in. Breathe out. Think about drawing your belly button deep inside to pull it up and underneath your heart, as in hollowing out your belly. And then relax. If you still feel that you are not quite getting the correct muscle group when you're trying to find your deep abdominal muscles, another way to do that is by a long exhalation by saying shh. At the end of that exhalation, you'll find that your belly draws in. Remember, the respiratory diaphragm and pelvic diaphragm work together. So as you are exhaling and that diaphragm is being pushed to its fullest extent with exhalation, the pelvic diaphragm will kick in, activating pelvic floor as well as deep abdominals. Let's go ahead and give that a try. So I'm going to have you take another nice breath in. And then as you breathe out, you're going to say shh. And we're going to exhale for a full 10 seconds, noticing how your deep abdominals start to pull in through the last piece of that breath. Once you have identified those muscles, those are the muscles you're going to cue into whenever you're pulling up the pelvic floor and then activating those deep abdominals. Be aware that when you are activating the pelvic floor muscles, that you may also feel the rectal muscles pull up and in. This is correct. You want to make sure that you're not tightening your glute muscles, that you're just pulling the muscles of the rectal area up and in. Next, you will learn 3 types of strengthening exercises for your pelvic floor muscles. Understand that we are trying to teach you these exercises through a video, which is wonderful. However, sometimes people still are unable to identify the muscles correctly. If you are able to locate a women's health physical therapist, there are a number of ways that we can ensure that you are using the proper muscles. One of the ways is using something that's called biofeedback. Biofeedback is very similar to an EKG unit. So if you're familiar with an EKG, they put sticky pads around your heart, and then on the computer screen, you can see the activity of your heart muscle on the screen. It's the same idea with biofeedback. So with biofeedback, what we do is we take little sticky pads and we put them just on the outside of the rectal opening, so that when you draw your muscles up and in, you can visualize that on the computer screen so that you know that you are identifying the proper muscles. So what we're going to do in this next section for strengthening the pelvic floor muscles is we're going to have a visual of biofeedback for you to use so that when you are tightening your muscles and relaxing your muscles, you can imagine the activation on the screen. When you are going through strengthening exercises, it is going to be important for you to realize that there are 2 different types of muscle fibers within your pelvic floor. The first type are slow twitch muscle fibers. These are postural muscle fibers that help to give support to your organs throughout the day. The second type are fast twitch muscle fibers. These are the muscles that become active whenever we cough or sneeze, whenever we need them to fire rapidly in order to prevent leakage. Because there are 2 different types of muscle fibers, we need to train them in that way. So we'll be working on short hold exercises as well as long hold exercises to be able to encompass both of these muscle fiber types. In addition to muscle fiber types, we also need to remember that we are focusing on strengthening of the muscles. The way in which we do this is by the position that you are doing the exercises in. Once you become proficient at tightening and relaxing your muscles in the lying down position, where we are working not against gravity, then we need to move to the sitting position, now working against gravity, thereby strengthening the muscles further. Once you can do these exercises well in sitting, then you progress to standing. Once you do well in standing, that's when we can progress into functional integration of the pelvic floor with your daily activities. Because you don't have a biofeedback unit at home, and you want to ensure that you are using the proper muscle group when you're very first getting started, is when you're in the lying down position with your knees bent, you might want to go ahead and take your fingers again and bring them to that area right between the vaginal and the rectal opening. When you're going through these exercises, you really want to feel that perineum pulling away from your fingers when you're activating your pelvic floor. I will now orient you to the pelvic region from the outside. This is the clitoris. Right here is the urethral opening where the urine exits the body. Here is the vaginal opening, and this is the rectal opening. This is known as the vestibular bulb, and here is the Bartholin's gland. Taking a look at the external pelvic floor muscles, right along here is the transverse perineum, your ischiocavernosus, and your bulbocavernosus. The region between the vaginal opening and the rectal opening is known as your perineum. When you're doing a Kegel exercise, you're imagining the perineum pulling up and inside your body. So if you imagine sitting, you're sitting right on the perineum. And once again, imagining just trying to draw the perineum up towards your belly button, and this will help to ensure that you're doing the Kegel exercise correctly. Here is another view of the pelvis. If we take a look, we are looking down inside the pelvis to reveal the pelvic floor muscles. The little yellow hole here is the urethral canal, which is going to connect up to the bladder. Next one back is the vaginal canal, which is going to come up to the uterus. And then here is the rectal canal, which is going to go to the rectum. When you are doing a Kegel exercise, you are thinking about drawing these muscles up and inside towards the belly button, imagining sucking up on a straw with these muscles, and that will ensure that you are doing the Kegel exercise correctly. Next, what we'll do is go through your long holds. Go ahead and lie down on your back with your knees bent. We'll go through a set of 5 repetitions of a 5-second hold. I'm going to take you through the breath pattern right now. So go ahead and take a breath in to prepare. And then as you're breathing out, tighten your belly and tighten your pelvic floor through that full 5 seconds. Next, we'll go ahead and give it a try. And if you'd like, you can keep your eyes on the biofeedback machine to activate your pelvic floor muscles when you see the biofeedback activating as well. Imagine yourself tightening those pelvic floor muscles to be able to see what you're seeing on the screen. Go ahead and take a breath in to prepare. And then go ahead and breathe out, tightening your belly and your pelvic floor as you're exhaling, and relax. Making sure that you're letting go of your belly and pelvic floor all the way. Take another breath in. Exhale, tightening your belly and pelvic floor, keeping your muscles tight, and relaxing. You want to be sure that you're not holding your breath through that and that you're working through the exhalation. Take another breath in. Breathe out, tightening that belly and pelvic floor, holding those muscles nice and tight, and relax. None of this should be causing you pain. Take another breath in. Exhale, tightening your belly and pelvic floor, drawing it up and in, and relax. And we'll go through one more repetition. Take a nice breath in to prepare, expanding belly and pelvic floor. Exhale, drawing belly and pelvic floor up and in, and relax. The progression for this exercise, once a 5-second hold becomes easy, is to then do a 7-second hold for 7 repetitions. Each repetition should feel exactly like the one before. If it doesn't, that just means that your muscles are fatiguing and you're not quite ready to move to the next step. When you have completed the 7-second holds for 7 repetitions, then you can move to a 10-second hold for 10 repetitions. Once that's easy, you can start the whole process over, but in the sitting position, starting with a 5-second hold, then 7, then 10. Once those are easy, then you can go to the standing position and go through the same protocol.